Some of us are actually here at 17 Liberty as we try again. 28 Liberty?
28, right.
What was 17? I forget. At 28 Liberty, we're trying again, right, Ruben? We're gonna hopefully continue this progress.
Get here. Yes.
Hopefully, we're here.
And Mr. Chairman, yours is the first meeting of the board or board committee since, I think we agreed last May, was it?
Yes, I think it was May.
Yeah.
We tried last May and
Yeah,
we got one through and then
and then we got shut
hopefully
down.
there's no more, but we have our masks ready at our beck and call just in
And the
case.
ready.
We're distance apart, so anyway, and the view is better today than I think the last time. It's a little cloudy, but it's still a hell of a view. And we look forward to everybody else coming to 28 Liberty. Anyway, thank you. First up on the Finance Committee agenda are the adoption of the meeting minutes from the Finance Committee from our last meeting back in March. I think it was March 3rd, but whatever it was. Can I please get a motion to approve those meeting minutes?
Yep, Janice McKinney is so moved.
Thank you very much. It was actually March 1st, actually. So,
Okay.
thank you. So that carries. We're gonna take a couple of things out of order. First up, we're going to do the Yeshiva University financing. Then we'll advance back to do Cornell, Northwell, and then the school district, if that's okay with everybody.
It's fine.
Good to go. Okay, so let's first talk about Yeshiva. And Steve is gonna take that up, and this is on for preliminary approval, as I
That's right.
remember. Right, and that's behind tab,
You gotta go way back for that.
there we go,
Here it is.
7. Right, thank you.
Sure, I've read it, I've marked it.
So the Finance Committee is being asked to recommend the full board to adopt a resolution proceed for one or more series of fixed.
It's a little garbled, Steve.
Steve,
You're a little
you're not
garbled,
clear.
we're not really hearing you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
You sound like you're in a fishbowl.
Like you're underwater.
Is this any better?
So far.
It's a
Okay.
little bit, yes.
All right, let me know if it goes back to the fishbowl. So the Finance Committee is being asked to recommend the full board to adopt a resolution to proceed for one or more series of fixed and/or variable rate tax exempt and/or taxable bonds with a term not to exceed 31 years in an amount not to exceed $165 million issued by negotiated sale or private placement on behalf of Yeshiva University. Yeshiva has been a DASNY client since 1994 and has always met its obligations to DASNY on time and in full. The proposed issuance will be used to refund the university's outstanding DASNY bonds, including the Series 2009 and Series 2011 A bonds, and to finance approximately $20 million of new money projects. The new money and refunding components of the proposed financing are each anticipated to provide annual cash flow savings and better align expenses with the useful life of the assets financed. New money proceeds will finance high priority projects under the university's Energy Master Plan. Financing the project is expected to be cash flow positive to the university as the annual debt service on the new money portion of the proposed issuance is estimated at approximately $1.2 million, and the anticipated energy savings is approximately $1.7 million per year. Subject to review by tax counsel, the university may repay principal over approximately 25 years, following 5 years of interest-only payments for both the new money and the refundings. Debt service on the Series 2009 and 2011 A bonds is currently approximately $12.2 million a year. Debt service on the refunding bonds is anticipated to be approximately $5.5 million a year during the interest-only period and approximately $8.4 million a year when principal amortization begins. The refunding is estimated to provide net present value savings of approximately $6.5 million, which equates to 5% of the bonds being refunded. The bonds are anticipated to be rated by S&P, which rates Yeshiva BBB- with a stable outlook. In accordance with DASNY's financing guidelines, the loan agreement shall be a general unsecured obligation of the university, and the financing documents may include additional security provisions based on market conditions. With respect to the operations of the university, Yeshiva has reported deficits since 2008 when the university took on additional expenses at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine associated with the expansion into the Michael F. Price Center for Genetic and Translational Medicine in the Harold and Muriel Block Research Pavilion. At the same time, net tuition revenue growth stalled, endowment losses reduced the revenue from the spending rate, and federal research funding was scaled back. The university's balance sheet has helped support operations by utilizing a combination of borrowing for working capital, investment sales, and monetization of certain real estate and receivables. As detailed in the staff report, around 2014, the university engaged a team of financial advisors to assist with the development and implementation of short and long-term strategies to better align Yeshiva's expenses with revenues and improve liquidity, which the university continues to implement. One of the strategies I highlighted in the report was the September 2015 transfer of the Albert Einstein College of Medicine to a newly formed education corporation controlled by Montefiore Medicine. The level of the deficits over the past 5 years are well below the deficits Yeshiva reported while the medical school was included as part of its operations. Excluding a one-time gain included in Yeshiva's 2017 operating revenue, the deficits have declined or improved in each of the past 5 years. The university continues to evaluate and implement strategies to improve operating margins by controlling expenses and enhancing revenues with a strategic focus on growing and expanding graduate programs, which produce favorable margins. The university has steady enrollment, and despite the COVID-19 pandemic, total FT enrollment increased approximately 3% since fall of 2019, primarily due to the growth in the graduate enrollment, which increased 12.4% from fall 2019 to fall 2021. At fiscal year end 2021, Yeshiva reported approximately $647 million of investment and approximately $649 million of total net assets. Total cash and investments to debt was 2.5 to 1 in 2021 compared to the DASNY median of 2.6 to 1, and total cash and investments to operating expenses was 2.7 to 1 in 2021 compared to the DASNY median of 1.7 to 1. So in summary, the new money and refunding components of the proposed financing are each anticipated to provide annual cash flow savings and better align expenses with the useful life of the assets financed. Therefore, staff is requesting the Finance Committee to recommend the full board to adopt a resolution to proceed with the financing on behalf of Yeshiva University in an amount not to exceed $165 million. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Steve. Appreciate that. Any comments or questions or concerns? First, I'd like to welcome John.
Sorry about the delay getting here. This is
we're all good.
not an easy building to find how to get into.
Yes, once you find it, though, it's.
Yeah, once you find
They
it.
do have fast elevators. We're
They
up-
have fast elevators, once you figure out how they work. Russ Country Fool.
Welcome, John. It's good to see you. Yes, sir. Steve has talked about the diminishing deficit, which is terrific. They're doing a fine job of managing that, given the difficulties that they have faced doing that. A couple of things, Steve. One, as that deficit comes down, can you talk to us a little bit about their outlook? What are they thinking is going to happen? Nobody's got a crystal ball. We don't expect them to have one, but it would be great to hear you talk a little bit about what they think their outlook is.
So, they're forecasting operating margins in 2022, similar to what they reported in fiscal year 2021. They continue to work on their long-term goal of achieving break-even results. The university expects to increase net tuition revenue by enhancing its graduate programs and increasing fundraising efforts, which would obviously translate into additional investment revenue coming from the endowment spend rate. They plan to continue the cost reduction process through streamlining of the university-wide operations while also preserving the academic core. This financing is expected to be cash flow positive to them, so this will help them in their endeavors. So, like you said, no one has a crystal ball, but I think they are trending in the right direction.
Thank you, Steve. Could you talk to us a little bit about the energy savings projects? I know we're not technical here, but some sense of what they're going to spend that money on.
Yeah, so they're going to modernize their HVAC systems, including boiler and chiller replacements. They're going to convert from steam to electric chillers. They're going to install energy recovery systems and upgrade their building management control systems. They're going to modify their building envelopes, which includes additional insulation and window reglazing or replacement to enhance their thermal efficiency. And they'll also replace or modernize approximately 13 elevators with more efficient motors and computerized dispatching controls for reduced energy usage.
Wow.
Thank you, Steve. And I think Portia and the team, they should be thanked to continue to sort of help these private universities sort of get through the challenges created by the pandemic. I mean, we saw it early on. I think you're seeing it again here. You look at the savings, they're obviously taking their cash savings up front to help them through these challenging times that were already challenging before the pandemic and certainly have increased since then. So
This is a good story.
and then they've been a long
It improves.
client of DASNY. So I just wanted to sort of get that out there because you see the savings are up front, but that sort of makes a lot of sense given the environment we find ourselves in. So anyway, and certainly the energy savings are always a good thing. Anyway, so
I'm
any other concerns from either Janice or any of the other board members? I can't really see who else is.
Nope,
There.
none from me.
Thank you, Janice. John, anything? Good. Okay, I'm hearing none. Can I get a motion to recommend approval of this first time on offering at tomorrow's full board meeting?
so moved, sir.
Thank you very much. And
Second,
thank you very much, Janice. And all in favor, aye.
Aye.
None opposed, so that motion carries. Thank you very much, Steve, and thank you, Portia. Next up, we're going back to, where am I going? Cornell, and that's Dave, and that's behind tab 4. Thank you, and that's really a refunding, right?
Yes.
Yes,
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, everyone. The Finance Committee is being asked to recommend to the full board the adoption of 3 series of tax exempt and or taxable fixed and or variable rate bonds in an amount not to exceed $150 million on behalf of Cornell University. Bond proceeds will be used to refund all or a portion of Cornell's Series 2000A, 2000B, and 2019C bonds, all of which were issued by DASNY. All 3 series of bonds are variable rate with interest rates reset monthly based on LIBOR plus a spread. These bonds are all privately placed. The Series 2000 A and B bonds are both with Bank of America, and the 2009 C bonds are placed with TIAA Bank. This proposed transaction is expected to reduce the university's variable rate exposure by refunding the Series 2000A, 2000B, and 2019 C bonds with publicly offered fixed rate bonds. The outstanding obligations of the university have been assigned a rating of AA1 from Moody's and AA from S&P. And accordingly, Cornell meets the requirements under DASNY's financing guidelines for the bonds to be issued as a general unsecured obligation of the university. With regard to the university's recent financials, Cornell has experienced strong demand and increasing enrollment over the last 5 years, despite disruptions caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Freshman applications increased by over 43% over 5 years, reaching a total of 67,380 for fall of 2021. Over that time, Cornell has become increasingly selective, accepting only 8.7% of applications for the fall of 21. And overall, total FTE enrollment increased by 11.7% over 5 years, reaching a 5-year high of 26,956 for fall of 21. When looking at operations, Cornell has maintained a diverse revenue composition. For fiscal year 2021, only 19% of total revenues came from student-generated sources. And operating revenues, as well as the university's operating margins, reach a 5-year high for fiscal year of 2021. Cornell's balance sheet reflects growing financial resources and liquidity. Unrestricted net assets increased by 22.8% over 5 years, growing to $3.8 billion as of fiscal year end 2021. And lastly, and really most importantly for this transaction, the university's variable rate debt, which represents about half of its long-term debt, will be reduced by approximately $140 million through the proposed transaction. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Comments? Questions?
Just one comment. It's great to be able to support an institution that is as powerful as this one. We're in a great position. We're fortunate to have them as a client. And they're just, David's list of commendables just goes on and on and on. I for one, am fully in favor of doing this.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Janice, any
Yep.
comments?
No, none.
Anyone else? John, anything? I'm good. I fully endorse your comments there, Mr. Chair. Cornell is a fine institution, good client of Dormitory Authority. It's good refunding. We're helping the university. So I'll look for a motion to recommend this single approval at tomorrow's full board meeting. Thank you very much. Second, thank you. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that motion carries. Next up, I have to go back to my cheat sheet.
While you're doing that, Mr. Chair, I'll just let you know that 2 members of the public have joined the meeting a moment ago.
Have they paid their admission price? Well, welcome.
Right there.
Nice to have you. So Northwell is up. It's the obligated group, which we'll probably hear some information on. And Matt is going to present. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon, everyone. The Finance Committee has been asked to recommend to the full board of financing on behalf of the Northwell Health Obligated Group. And so the staff report provided presents a 30-year term for a bond issue in an amount not to exceed $820 million on behalf of the Northwell Health Obligated Group. The project that you're considering will finance various construction, renovation, and modernization projects for the members of the Northwell Health Obligated Group, as well as refund all or a portion of DASNY's North Shore Long Island Jewish Obligated Group revenue bonds, Series 2009 B, C, and D. As this is an obligated group structure, obligations issued under the master trust indenture will be a joint and several obligation of each member of the obligated group and will be secured by a lien on certain gross receipts of the members of the obligated group. It is anticipated that the existing mortgages will be eliminated once the consents of 51% of the holders of the master trust indenture obligations are received, and this is expected to occur by the closing of the Series 2022 bonds. This change in the security was also discussed when we did their 2019 financing, and the 2019 POS included deemed consent language for this amendment to the MTI, as well as the 2022 POS. And specifically, it will state that by their purchase of the Series 2022 bonds, the purchasers shall consent and shall be deemed to have consented to this amendment. In looking at the obligated group, they've consistently recorded over 100 days cash on hand, and their cushion ratio has averaged nearly 13-to-1. The obligated group's operating gain has averaged nearly $235 million over the last 5 years. When looking at the system's inpatient market share is approximately 31%, which based on the most recent information available is more than double that of its nearest competitor. When we talk about the system, there are 4 hospitals in the system that are not in the obligated group as noted in the staff report. As of December 31st, 2020, the members of the obligated group represented nearly 82% of the total operating revenue and 83% of the total assets of the system. Attachment 1 is an organizational chart that shows the system and the members of the obligated group And I wanted to point out that Northwell Health Inc. is the parent of the system, and Northwell Healthcare Inc. is the parent of the members of the obligated group. The staff report also goes into some detail on the COVID-19 impact. As the largest health system in New York State, the system played an integral role in partnering with New York State, community organizations, and other health systems in planning and responding to COVID-19. The system provided one of the first private clinical laboratories approved by New York State and the federal government to conduct COVID-19 testing, and also devised and executed COVID-19 testing and vaccine distribution plans in numerous locations throughout its service area, and also provides free testing and vaccinations in many medically underserved communities. The negative financial impact of the coronavirus pandemic on the system is also described and was primarily attributable to the reductions in patient service volume, as well as incremental costs resulting from changes in operation in response to the crisis. Also described are the monies received from the CARES Act, the Consolidated Appropriations Act, temporary Medicare rate enhancements, Medicare advances, and additional federal funding, including funding from the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA. And finally, Mr. Chairman, the expected ratings are A3, A-, and A-. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, it's like 800 million, right? The total.
820 million is the amount not to exceed.
Thank you. Comments or questions, concerns?
The chart helped me a great deal.
Yes, the chart was very helpful.
Very helpful, yes.
Was there any reason the ones on the left weren't part of the group, or just for their own independent? Not that it matters.
They're newer members of the system, and I talked a little bit about that in the staff report. But they are newer members of the system.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And the projects that are being financed by a substantial portion of the financing are all very good projects, and
yeah, and they've all been approved by the Department of Health.
Yes,
we do have a member
I was going
Yep.
to note that, because that's always important to us when we approve these.
Absolutely.
The approval and the certificate of need and the blessing of the Department of Health, which we always looked at, and I noticed that was also provided in this.
Ken, you're on. Did you have any comments following Matt's?
I don't have any comments at this time. Unless people have questions, we can answer the questions. But yes, the Department of Health is in support of this financing going forward, and has been a long-term partner with Northwell, and very much appreciate all the services that Northwell provide to their constituents. And we're looking forward to kind of having this advanced. So everything is in the report, and the CON projects are listed out as part of the memo that DOH provided to DASNY as a recommendation to go forward. But if there's any specific questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I think the quicker they get in the ground, the better off they'll be, given the way pricing are going. So I'll expedite the approval request so they can start tomorrow.
Thanks, Ken.
So can I get a recommendation to approve this single approval?
I just have one.
Sure, John. Yeah.
Question of curiosity
Yes.
about this. This is the second project that I think I've read about. This emphasizes energy. This talks about rebuilding the boiler system. How does that reconcile with what's going on down here in New York? It says you can't build boilers anymore.
Well, you can't use gas.
You can't get gas, you can't use fuel oil.
Well, New York City, I mean, the
Haven't they
Northwell,
done that out in Long Island too?
no, the Northwell, I think the boiler plant was out of their main campus out there in Manhasset or something, I guess. So that would be
They
sort
need
of,
to get it done now. This one's totally alone.
well, the gas, right, I mean, gas is,
It's still available.
I'll bet they know that.
yes,
That's
it's a good point, though. It's
That's why.
It's an interesting policy decision about-
Obsolete now.
certainly solar is not taking over for that.
That's right.
So if that's a question, that I can try and answer, all of their CON projects that were submitted as it relates to this project were reviewed by architects and reviewed by our architectural bureau to ensure that they're in compliance with the current building codes. And they have to pass that as part of the CON process. So if there were any issues with the construction as outlined in the memo. It was approved through, or it was approved or will be approved at some point through our architectural review unit. I don't know if that answers the question or if there was any more detailed questions that need to go along with those lines, but at this time, as long as it passes current code, the department is comfortable with advancing those projects.
It was just a comment on
Comment on.
gas and
Yes.
energy
One of the things we're
policies
doing
and.
right now
yes.
is get it built. 2 reasons. Inflation.
So, anyway, can I get a motion, please, to recommend?
So moved.
Thank you. Second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
None opposed, that carries. Last up, Ruben, is the school district revenue bond, where we're looking to increase the amount of the amount we previously approved last month because of the enhanced need for this type of program, given the current interest rate environment that we find ourselves in. So we're more than happy to sort of advance, but we'll hear from
David?
Dave. Thanks, Dave.
Hey, thank you. The Finance Committee is being asked to recommend to the full board the adoption of an amended and restated supplemental resolution, which will increase the total authorization for the school district's program from 750 million to 1 billion. You'll recall last month's board meeting, the staff requested an amount not to exceed 750 million, which was expected to be sufficient to accommodate a June new money pool and band refinancing pool, as well as a refunding later in the year. As we discussed with the board at the time, in a rising interest rate environment, that tends to drive more districts to the DASNY pool. And that's exactly what we saw over the last month. As rates continue to rise, more districts came over to the pool. So to date, we've received responses from 66 districts who wish to participate, totaling over 820 million. So when you combine that with the refunding transaction that we're looking at doing later this year, that total amount is well in excess of the 750 million. So, which is why we're looking to increase that to. So other than the increase to the amount, there's no other changes to what the board authorized in
Thank you
March.
very much. Thanks for coming.
I have no questions,
Nor
Mr.
do
Chairman.
I. Janice, anything?
No questions,
Not
understood.
anything? Hearing none, can I please get a motion to recommend approval at tomorrow's full board meeting?
So
Thank you very
moved.
much. Thank you. Second, thank you. All in favor, aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Hearing none. That motion carries. And unless, Portia, I'm missing something, I believe I can ask for a motion to adjourn. Am I right?
Everything, Jerry.
Thank you very much, Portia.
So moved.
So we'll move for that. Thank you, Janice. In favor,
Aye.
aye. I don't think we'll hear any opposition, so that carries.
Just a reminder, we'll start tomorrow morning at 9:30, our 2 Atlantic Avenue, our 2 subsidiary meetings, and we'll go straight to the board meeting after that.
You got it.